Are these ridiculous toes in the? Are my toes in the shot? Because the toes look stupid.
Might as well get them.
I want to go to the bedroom right now.
You want to take? You want to take me? You want to jump my bones now? You want to jump my bones for? Yeah. They're a little weird looking. I kind of like them. I think though.
I have yoga toes that do that, or yoga socks that do that.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway.
mind them.
They're different. That's for sure. Finally, quiet for a second. The kids are upstairs watching a movie, and I get to have peace for a second.
So get this. Molly sends me a text the other day and says 30 companies now face extinction as a result of being tied to the bank failures. And she was wanting me to know because Airbnb is one of them, and she knows how many Airbnbs we have.
I doubt Airbnb's going to shut down.
I know. And there's like all these other big companies in here. Like
I love her. I love her. She's a major conspiracy theorist. So
I know.
love her.
I know.
I
It's
know.
just noise.
I don't know. To me, I think that with all these bank failures going on right now, it's just like when we started back in 08, right? We had to focus hard on what we were doing, keep our nose down and not pay attention. Because I think right now the media gets a hold of that. They just go crazy. When they hear that, the banks, they hear one bank, two banks, three banks. Now they're all about the banks. Well, they're jumping on Trump now. Right now they're jumping on that bandwagon. But a minute ago they were jumping on banks. That'll keep going for a while. We'll have more banks that'll fail.
Yeah, I mean, there's been several that have poor management, whatever.
Well, people forget their businesses.
Right.
I mean, it's a business like any business. It can
And it
fail.
can still be mismanaged.
Yeah, totally.
But you got to make sure you have your money in a
Stock
solid
or invest.
execution.
I don't like the stock either. I don't like stocks at all.
No.
So we started back in 08. That was when Lehman Brothers, when they shut down, 120 years in business, and they shut down, and that's when we got our private investors too, because everybody was so freaked out that they jumped out of those markets, and that's how we got Bruce. That's how we got other investors that said, I don't trust this anymore. But
Well, and everybody was like, the sky is falling, don't do real estate. But we just had to like stay true to what we knew and what was working for us.
well,
Because if we listened to everybody else, we never would be where we are today.
No, I'm thinking about ever since we got into social media and all this stuff, what we've learned is that you have to say things to get people to pay attention, right? You have to get that clickbait. And so that's the same exact thing that they do in the news.
I know, just headlines.
They're not news anymore. We grew up with Walter Cronkite. That was news, right? They gave you actual facts and you decided what you want. Now it's all media.
It was a lot less biased then.
Yeah. They're trying to capture your attention. So they hear something, they go nuts, and they drive the point home. I just think you got to stay focused. So when people have asked me, they say, "What are you doing now?" The first thing I tell them is, "We're just staying focused.
Right.
We're staying focused on our business and what we can control, because I can't control that." Like when she said, "Okay, well the world's coming to an end." Well, if people ask me, they said, "What happens if all the banks shut down?" I said, "Then we're all gonna be fighting each other for food."
Yeah, we got bigger problems.
The world's over. The world. That's not gonna happen. It's literally too big to fail.
The government would just start printing more money, probably.
They would create more inflation, but they'll find a way to put a Band-Aid in the problem until they figure what to do. But there's nothing we can do except for just do what we're put our nose down, focus on our business, just keep flipping houses, keep building our education company, and helping people understand what's going on. And our rental business. I mean, people still need a place to live.
Right.
Even in times of anarchy, they're gonna need a place to live. We do. That's the cool part, right? We have hard assets.
Right.
We own things that are a hard asset. Where I think people that own stocks and stuff, that could just disappear on a computer screen. A house doesn't disappear.
But I see so many people like getting so paralyzed by this kind of stuff, and it makes it hard to make decisions. But that's one thing you and I have always done is just stick with what's working for us at that moment.
I get, if I get sucked in, I get scared. I get sucked into media, or if I get watching the news, I can't watch the news anymore.
It's
I
like
can't
doomsday.
I can't even. I'll watch the local news to see what's happening in my local town, but that's about all I'm gonna. I'll see what the weather is and what's happening for fun, but I don't.
And it's easy to go down those like rabbit holes and get
totally.
sucked in and then paranoid and start prepping for doomsday.
Well, yeah, 6 months ago, I got watching politics. I don't even like politics. I got so wrapped up in politics, and it was depressing me and pissing me off.
And you were really fun to live with.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I wasn't ideal, but I've been a lot better since I stopped with all that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't.
Every now and then I'll catch you getting into it, and you have to stop.
Only because I won't be. It'll be a different post that pops up. That's like I'm not even searching for it. Their clickbait comes and finds me.
Yeah.
And I'll catch it for a second, or it's on another, like somebody else that I follow posts about it, and then it gets me thinking about it. But anyway.
I take all of that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, Yeah, they're just trying.
It
They're
used
trying
to
to get
freak
us.
me out a lot more, but now that I think you get like conditioned to it, and then they have to get more and more dramatic because people get conditioned to what was,
They do.
and then they have to get them even more scared. So I just have to take everything with a grain of salt.
We'll get to the point where they'll go on TV and say we're at war, and we'll be like, okay, what's on Netflix? We won't even pay attention to it because they keep scaring everybody to death, and no one even pays attention anymore. So it's ridiculous.
I know.
That's my 2 cents. I don't know, but as far as banks, I don't. I can't control it. As long as we're not defaulting on a mortgage, somebody will buy that. If a bank goes down that holds one of our mortgages, well, another bank will pick it up and take it over.
Right.
There's plenty of banks that are being run correctly.
Right.
Well, we were in Chase Bank last week, right?
Yep.
We went into Chase to think about opening an account down here, right? And it was...
And the truth is, most people don't have more than $250,000 in their bank account. And so the FDIC covers all of that if something were to ever happen with a
Although,
bank.
yeah, I read an article that said they're concerned the FDIC may not have enough money to insure if a lot of banks go down at the same time. So if like 300 or 400 banks shut down or 500 banks at the same time, FDIC couldn't cover the people that do have under $250,000 because it would be too many people at once.
Yeah, but don't you think there'd be some other kind of bailout that the government, because that would be like Civil War stuff. I mean,
I would think so.
the government would have to come in and do something.
Yeah.
Because people, they can't just like take people's life savings.
Again, whenever anybody asks me, I come back to the same thing. If I can't control it, I just control what I can control. Because what are we going to do?
Don't you think it's smart to have your money in a solid institution instead of just like some mom and pop bank?
I do. I mean, we met with Chase last week, right?
Right.
We wanted to see what they had to say, and I like what they had to say. So, but where's our money now?
In a small bank.
Multiple small banks.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Which I'm not thrilled about, which is why we wanted to go talk to Chase.
I know. So, okay, so this is funny. So I called Jeff and I called him and said, "Hey, should I yank my money?" And he said, "I know about as much as you know. I'd probably only know an hour before you'd know." He said, "So by the time I got to you to tell you, it was too late." He said, "But I do think we're fine."
And credit unions are different than banks.
They are.
Which is what we were told too by Chase.
Yeah. So,
But I thought it was interesting that guy told us about that place on the FDIC website where you can go in and monitor
the stability of the bank.
the stability of a bank. Yeah.
Yeah. You can see
Which
how
is
much.
probably a good thing to keep track of.
Yeah, I guess so.
Especially in a time like this.
I mean, you'd say to yourself, Chase would never shut down, but again, Lehman Brothers, I'm sure they
Right.
thought would never shut down either, right?
Right.
So, big institution. But at some point, you have to trust a bank at some point because you can't live without banking. You can't live in cash.
You can't just hide all your money under a mattress.
How would you even do that?
I know.
You couldn't. People that are hoarding
How would you
cash
pay
right
bills?
now, you can't.
But it does make you think.
I know.
It makes you wonder.
I know. No, I don't.
Is it some sort of distraction to keep us from looking at something else that's going on? Because that does happen.
Agreed. Did you ever see the movie years ago? I don't know if I wasn't with you when we watched it, called it had Robert De Niro, and it had a couple good people in it. It was all about media. This is before social media. It was all about how they staged a war because the president was having an affair, and they staged a war to take the distraction.
Yeah.
What was that called? That movie was called Wag the Dog. Wag the Dog.
Okay.
Yeah, they staged a war, and this is again. It was just TVs. It was and radio. It was no social media, no phones, none of that stuff. And I remember that movie always stuck with me because I thought, wow, do they do that? And they staged a war all on TV just to distract you.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that stuff happens. I don't know to what extent that it happens. But like I've even seen a bunch of little like memes and stuff online about how Simpson episodes like from years ago
They've predicted a lot.
like predicted what was going to happen today.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but it's true.
I just keep going back to the fact that I think we just have to put our nose down and stick with what we can control. All we can control is what we do.
And what's working for us.
Yeah. So we talked about how I focused on politics.
Right.
And I went down the rabbit hole and I felt like crap every day.
Yeah. You were in a bad mood a lot.
But imagine the people that do that.
Yeah. They live in that state all the time.
Our friend.
I know.
I mean, love her, but she's going to spend that time being negative and thinking about this stuff all the time and focusing on all the negative stuff. And consequently, nobody takes action.
Right.
So when you're in that mode, if you're terrified, you won't buy a house. You won't start a new business. You won't buy a rental because you're terrified of what's going to happen.
Right.
And I think now this feels to me just like it did back in 2008 when we started. So we started, and Lehman Brothers went down, and everything shut down. We didn't know enough to know what that even meant.
Right.
We weren't, social media wasn't nearly as big as it is now back in '08. And we were doing what? We were just houses.
Yeah. I do think it's good to have like a plan B in place though.
What kind of plan B?
Well, like just for example, so she's saying you better watch Airbnb, they might go out of business. But there's always, especially in our society today of, people that take advantage of situations. Number one, there'll probably be somebody else that popped up to take care of that. Our properties are also on VRBO. And if something happened with that whole industry, which is very unlikely, we could always just turn those into long-term traditional rentals.
Yeah.
So I do think it's good to have a plan B and not put all your eggs in one basket and make sure you have a way out.
But yeah, again, control what you can control, right?
Yeah.
I think be ready to make a decision if you have to, but I'm actually not worried about it. Every time I hear the banks are shutting down, I think, well, those are all businesses. Because I don't know how many banks are in the country right now. I mean, how many banks are there in the world? I don't even know. Hey Siri, how many banks are in the U.S.?
Here's an answer from Wikipedia. As of December 31st, 2019, there were 5,177 commercial banks and savings institutions in the U.S.
I like that we had both going at the same time.
In stereo.
That was nice. So there's 5,100 banks in the U.S. We've had, 3 shut down. They said, well, there could be 100 shut down. That's still not even.
It's a
very
small percentage.
Right.
I still think it's good to diversify.
I know. So it's more headache, right? It's more.
Yeah,
it's
more accounts to track.
We have
more
accounts.
to
We
take care of.
probably have with our checking accounts, we have to have one for every property, and all that. We have to have checking and a savings for all the different entities.
One for
and
each LLC.
So we probably have 50 checking and 50 save. We have over 100 accounts to maintain, and you want to add more. It's challenging. That's all I'm saying. It's just challenging, but we can do it. It's just challenging to do, but. So what do you want to do with all this?
We got to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
We know it's working. It's working well for us. It's working well for the people we're teaching.
Yeah.
The sky isn't falling.
It feels similar to what we did in 2008. We didn't listen to everybody else. We just stayed focused on the task at hand, which was flipping that one house in Studley Place. We did the one house, then the next house, and then we just kept doing that, and that's led us to where we are today.
Yeah, at that time, back in 07, 08, we kind of kept going. It was almost like an ignorance is bliss type of thing because we didn't know much at that time. And we do know a lot more now, but we're still not worried about it.
It doesn't change the facts, though.
It doesn't.
It doesn't change the facts that even though we know it, we can't control it. So let's just keep staying doing what we're doing and keep putting our nose down and diversify, look for other banks to do business with and look further up. But right now, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, I think, with businesses shutting down, banks shutting down. We could buy businesses. We could buy more real estate. We could buy more apartment complexes because people will mismanage and they'll go out of business, and we're going to be right there to pick them up.
Yep.
So I think that's.
I just read an article about that this morning.
Yeah. So I think we have to keep looking for the opportunity.
Yep.